Hey everyone, so tonight I'm just investigating ways to mount this in the van safely, and I think what I'm going to do is have it raised up on the anti-vibration mounts. They all had to come out because for this they're just going to have to be in a totally different position, and what's going to happen is I'm going to screw the plastic bottom of the generator down onto these box section steel rails, and I'll have them such that they stick out at the bottom so I can access the bolts, so that when I need to service the generator I just undo the 4 bolts and lift out the whole unit and just service it. But obviously for this the wheels need to come off. It needs to be mounted securely. As for the exhaust, that's going to be routed with a solid steel pipe and it's just going to go out through there. But another idea has come to mind. So the engine's going to suck in the cool air through there, and I've just taken off the recoil starter to absolutely maximise airflow. So it sucks in air through there, and we've also got this other fan here which sucks in air, and all of it comes out of here. So I've had the idea that if I was to maybe just go around this with some sort of high temperature silicon sealant just to make sure it's all sealed up, even round there, really seal it up. I'll still run the exhaust as normal, but I'd also maybe just make this hole much larger and then just run some sort of shroud down around it. Obviously couldn't be made out of plastic because of the heat. This is obviously some very specialist plastic this is made out of. I don't know what. Some maybe glass reinforced stuff, I don't know. But if it was possible for me to somehow have all this hot air coming out here just to be routed outside, then the only possible way air can come in to this van is just through everywhere else. So there'll always be negative pressure in here, so only cold air could come into the van, cold outside air, and there wouldn't be very much heat being thrown off this at all. Whereas in the old version, obviously the exhaust up there would radiate heat. The engine itself was obviously blowing the hot air out, and it was increasing the probability of the thing overheating. And that's probably what I'd done in the head gasket. Well, of course this does have overheat protection on it. And of course I do want to have it inside all the casings, and it will just look like the generator would normally look. But I reckon the most difficult part is going to be figuring out something to go in here. ABS is not going to work, 3D printing in ABS, because it's just going to melt. So it's possibly going to have to be made out of folded steel or something. I don't know. I'm not sure how to do that at this stage. It's going to take a lot of thinking about and planning, but for the time being I'm just going to route an exhaust out through there and wrap it in titanium exhaust wrap. Or possibly the exhaust inside there, I could wrap that up as well quite well to try and maybe just 1 or 2 layers, because I don't want to take up too much of the space. We still need the airflow to get through there because it's the engine block airflow as well as the exhaust cooling airflow. So this looks like it's going to work very well. I've actually had it already wired into the high voltage system and it was close to hitting 4 kilowatts, but I'm just going to back off and just run it at 3.2 constantly. I don't want to run it at absolute full power, as that would just probably ruin the thing over time. So that's looking promising. I'm just going to figure out the best way to mount this, get it on the metal rails. So this plastic sled or plastic base is just going to be mounted onto these rails, and then I'll just kind of cut the ends and fold them in so that they can then bolt onto these mounts, and that will have threaded rod that will just go through the floor. So I think we'll have one there, one there. There's a main chassis axle that goes underneath there, so we're not going to be drilling through anything structural to mount this. So if we have one there, and then just something like one there and one there, then I can still access the bolts to remove this thing easily. So still a lot of engineering work. I've decided just to go for the standard propane carburetor. I've taken the original carb off to modify the carburetor to run on propane. I've tried it before, but I've never really been successful. It's not as simple as just a tube going through. It's actually got holes in the side which go to other places in the carburetor as well, so it's probably going to be more hassle than it's worth to modify. So I've just went for this option, and I've sort of 3D scanned this area, and I'm just going to design a mount for a standard RC car servo which will drive the throttle. As for the choke, I'm not 100% sure yet. When you're running these things on propane, you usually don't need a choke. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I've had mixed results with that. If so, then I could just design this so it's not so hard to move, and then just have some sort of solenoid which just switches the choke on and off. That's going to take a lot of figuring out. But yeah, we've established that it works. It will work in the van, and it's just a case of working out the airflow is my current idea to cool it, but it's not ideal. I don't think it's going to shift enough air, but it's better than what was there, which was nothing.